Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want to go.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. Joining me tonight, I've got John, Ash, and Simon. I am the Walrus. Ladies and gents, it's transfer deadline day. There's not a lot happening. There's not a lot kicking off, but we've already been in the transfer market. We've done our business, whether you think we've done it early or we've done it late. We're going to be delving in that tonight, but first we've got what I would consider as 2 points dropped at home with Sheffield Wednesday versus Luton Town to get through. Simon, how was your weekend? All right, sir?
Yeah, it was good, thank you. Just football, followed by football, followed by football. So, yeah, good weekend for me.
Sounds like a hell of a time. What about you, Ash? You're going to be manning the comments this evening, talking to the people out there. Ladies and gents, don't forget to get involved. And if you're not like and subscribe, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah, all good, mate. I've got one eye on the comments, and I've got one eye and on Twitter as well on the other screen here. You know, breaking news and all that sort of stuff, because you never know how it could happen, just like this show. So, yeah, I'll keep you up to date with that. Because no point having Sky Sports on anymore, is it? Because they're old news now. You get it straight away with Twitter, don't you? Get it straight away.
Exactly that. We were talking today about Sky Sports News ruining things like what was it? What was the one with Jeremy Beadle? You've been framed.
You've been framed.
Yeah. Twitter ruined You've Been Framed. And you know, that and getting Lisa Riley on it. But it got better with Harry Hill. You know what I mean? John, what about yourself? How are you? You all right? How was your weekend?
Yeah, good, really, yeah. Enjoyed going to the match despite not getting 3 points. It were nice to get a home game rolling around again. I was ready for the home game. So, yeah, it was nice to go that. It's funny you mentioning Sky Sports earlier, because they cut to, I don't know which one of their main reporters like. And as they cut to him, he's like this with phone. I'm like, you've got nobody on that phone, mate.
Was it Darmesh and Cavi? They're absolutely bloody awful, aren't they? They're awful.
It was totally for camera. There was nobody on phone at all. But yes, all good, mate.
They stopped doing the outside the grounds thing, didn't they, for a while? I don't know if they still do it now.
I wonder why. Why.
I think we know why that ended.
After the purple aid incident, I don't feel like that's going to be happening much anymore. So, ladies and gents, like I said, don't forget to don't be shy to get involved in the comments, where Ash will put up the best ones and he'll put up some shit ones as well, because it's like that. It does what he wants. Now, ladies and gents, at the weekend just gone, Simon, I'm going to get the lineup for yourself. This is the Luton Town lineup. We've got Beadle, Valerie, Ihekwe, Bernard, Maxlow, Patterson gets a start. Shea Charles, Banner, Gassama, Windass, and J-Lo up front. Before we get into the lineup, how are you feeling before this game?
Well, if you looked at the form of Luton Town, they were there for the taking, weren't they? You know, it was a game where you'd walk in and go, and I think I had a look at our predictions today after the result, and we'd all gone for a win of some sort of another. And Luton looked like they're destined to be 2 relegations on the trot. And I thought, no game's an easy 3 points, is it? But you've got to say your money was going to be on Wednesday to win that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with their £15 million centre-back pairing that they had in our old face, Mark McGuinness as well. I felt like we could still have them. I bet that Premier League parachute money kicking in. John, I'll come to you about the lineup. 4 at the back once again. Patterson earning his place. I feel after the shift he put in at QPR, I felt like he'd earned that, right?
Yeah, I think it'd have been. You'd have broke him if you'd have dropped him for this one, wouldn't you? I mean, he's bided his time waiting for his chance to come back in the team, and took it in spades, didn't he, last time out? So, yeah, no surprise to see Pato retain his spot. I thought it was lively again. Looked like we were going for a 4-4-1-1 kind of formation, which Danny's employed before, but obviously he changes it during the course of the game anyway. But, yeah, good to see Patterson in there, and Jamal Lowe getting a go as well. So in terms of the fixture itself, though, I didn't think I think it's one of those. I know they said the table doesn't lie, but Luton didn't seem like a bottom three team to me. I think they're just finding a little bit of readjustment going on back in Championship after coming down. Obviously, lost a few players, but kept quite a few as well, and still got lots of money. And like we just mentioned, £15 million centre-back partnership. So to me, although the table said they were a bottom three team, I don't think they'll be anywhere near that come the end of the season. So even though I was still confident in the victory, I didn't think it was going to be like an easy game or anything.
If you see the way the week was panning out for Luton Town, they made a number of signings in the week, and I felt like that it was going to be a completely different squad by the time we played them. Ash, tough question for you to start with.
Ooh.
We've been getting on the back of Ike Ugbo significantly. Well, I have, because he's finally been dropped because he's been rubbish. When do we all start turning on Jamal Lowe?
Oh, blooming out, Dan! You're in a mood today, aren't you?
I tell you it is. Like there's an element of I think Jamal Lowe does a lot more work. He does a lot of the harrying, does a lot of chasing down, does a lot of pushing on the last man. He's a good player in terms of part of the link up, but he's having a bit of a barren spell. Or in terms of games per goals ratio, I feel like personally I like my strikers to score goals. I know he does a lot of the other work, but you know what I mean. Do you feel like there's going to be some unrest?
He's going to be disappointed himself, isn't he? Because I imagine not being a world-class top striker or even a Sunday League striker myself, you're going to want that confidence, aren't you? And that's what you're there for, scoring. And I agree with you, Dan. He does. It's a bit different. It's a bit hard, isn't it? Because the eye test, I always go with the eye test, and it looks to me that he does a lot more work. And if you bring up stats up, then you might say, "Oh, Ugbo does X, Y, Z. His percentage of X, Y, whatever it is." But I agree with you. I think Jamal Lowe has applied himself a lot better in that position. It's never going to be easy, is it? I mean, the way that we're playing, it just doesn't seem to suit Ugbo or Lowe for some reason, and I don't know what that is. But it's one of those where you get. At least he has got a couple of goals this season, hasn't he, Jamal Lowe? He's on the. He does know where the net is. It's just that it just were a poor performance from him again, weren't it? I think on Saturday.
Do you not feel like Michael Smith must be sat there going, "What else do I need to do?"
I think the problem you've got is he's come into the side and he was free scoring, wasn't he, for Cardiff? Was it Cardiff or Swansea?
The other one, Swansea.
Swansea, that was it. And I don't think he's had a decent enough run in the side. I really don't. I feel a little bit sorry for him. And all right, the change to Smudger, made the change in the game, but I think he did it all right in the first half. I think he did all right.
I just think the stats, goals to games ratios against him, but you're right. Ash is correct when he says eye test, that there's some unquantifiables there in terms of the work that he does that we don't get from Ike Ugbo, but we do get them from Jamal Lowe. I just wondered if there was going to be some rumblings out there of people going, "Bloody hell, we got him up front again, get bloody Smudger, what's the matter here?" Because that's how we all speak up there. I do that apparently when I cross Watford Gap services. I didn't realise how much my accent can change in about 10 minutes of being around my mum. So listen, let's get into the football, John. Not a glamorous first half, was it? Not, you know what I mean? Now, the question I want to ask is, I popped a tweet out a couple of weeks ago saying, have we considered not going 1-0 down before we started scoring goals? Do you think this is Danny's play? Do you think this is Danny's, rope-a-dope, as it were? Because I feel that towards the last 10, 15 minutes, the levels in the fitness levels in terms of where we are in the last 10 minutes are leaps and bounds above anybody that we've played this season. And I feel that there is an element of him going, lads, it's all right. Let's get through the first 45. Let's be a bit industrious and then, conserve some energy, conserve some XP if you're playing a computer game. And then we'll go for it because our fitness levels will be better. Do you feel like there's a level of that, or do you just feel like it weren't landing that first half?
Yeah, it's a good question because I think the saying isn't to pick your battles, and maybe sometimes Danny's trying to rest some of the bigger hitters for bigger games, or he's trying to keep energy levels up there and rotation with the squad. And perhaps when you get in a home game against a bottom three side, you might be thinking, maybe I can get away with just holding one or two players back from this game. I mean, what I do like about Danny, I think certainly he's been one of the best managers I've known at Wednesday, that if it's not working, he'll change it, and he'll change it quick. Often to, getting good results from it. A little bit like, like Mourinho used to do it, didn't he, at Chelsea? But like, he'd bring 3 players on at half time. Mourinho, if he weren't happy or it weren't going well, he'd be like, I don't wait until 60, 65, 70, whatever, I'm changing it now. And Danny's very much like that as well. If it's not working, he's not afraid to change it early. So I do think there's an element of sometimes, depending on the opposition, hoping you can hold some players back and still get a result, or at least get, we all know how different the game is when we score first as well. We generally tend to go on and win games now if we score first. But obviously, we didn't. They scored, and obviously that kind of changed his tactical plan and what he wanted to do for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it does. It does a little bit. Ash, let's get into the goal. I thought, in terms of man hitting ball, this was a beauty of a ping. I thought it was an absolute rip snorter of a goal. I thought he did really well. But there was a couple of things prior and during that process where I thought, that's our mistake in there. We've done that. Like, so for example, there was a bit with Shea Charles on the edge of the box, and obviously Valerie's contribution into it. Two things on this. I thought that was Shea Charles's quietest game for us. I wasn't going to say poorest, because I don't think he played lower than a 6.5, 6.7, whatever, if you play Football Manager. But I thought Valerie played quite well. But during that goal, there's a few things that the pair of them did.
Yeah, I think, is it, forgive me, but don't you like to, you never turn your back on the ball?
Yeah.
And Valerie was very much guilty of that. It's easy to say, isn't it, when you're not stood like 10 yards away from the ball being pelted at you. But that's it. That's what you get there, isn't it? You just stand big with your, well, you put your hands behind your back now, don't they? But no, he decided to give it a bit of a half turn. And then from what it looked 25, 27 yards out, something like that. Should Beadle be getting beat there as well? You've got to.
I don't know. I thought it was a hell of a shot. I don't think he could have hit that any better. But I feel like he had a lot of time to set himself.
Yeah. Mate. I'm going to be a bit more critical, I think, on that, and we are here, and obviously people will probably disagree or agree or anything, but yeah, I think the combination of Valerie, probably, if we're going to portion blame, because we can do, and people have a go at us for that, but it was probably something like, I don't know, 75% Valerie for turning his back. Obviously, there were things happening before that could have prevented it, and then Beadle 25% maybe, because it was a fair crack outside. But yeah, it was a strange one, because like I say, I thought Valerie played well. I'm not. I know Stevie's not a massive fan of him, but I thought he's been half decent. But the thing is, that first half, it was much like it was at QPR last week. The first half was awful. It wasn't two great footballing teams playing any sort of free-flowing passing and everything. It was very dull. I don't know if the pitch didn't help, because that was awful. It was a bit shoddy, and I think the new groundsman's got his work cut out a little bit, hasn't he? But yeah, disappointing the goal. Always disappointed to go 1-0 down, but we have seen what we're now 16 or 17 points we've got from being behind leaders we are top of some league, aren't we? So there we are.
Always a nice place to be. Go on, John.
Just going to say, I think you get a real indication of how bad the pitch is when you watch it back on TV. Because I mean, I sit on the cot like you, Ash, and yeah, you get your usual bits around the goal mouth and all that, and down in the corners and stuff. But watching it back on TV, it really is poor, isn't it? I mean, it's almost threadbare in places. And yeah, like you said, this new guy's come in, but what can he do when he's still playing on it every other week? So it'll be more of an eye on a focus for next season, I would have thought.
I think what's killed it is that we had to train on it, didn't we? Because the training pitch was frozen, so we had to train on that. And that's what he alluded to in his interview last week. And also as well, I didn't know this. When you put the heat lamps on, if it's a cold breeze, they don't work. I know. But obviously he knows far more about. He obviously knows far more about.
Fancy having them in the stadium and it's not fully enclosed.
Yeah, innit?
I'll tell you what they want to do. Sorry, Dan. They want to get the local cultivators. You know what I'm saying? Who borrow a 3-bedroom semi. They always seem to get good growth, don't they?
Yeah, they
see what them guys are doing.
Get that pitch grown in Dinnington.
I think they're outsourcing it to Albania, if I'm honest, Ash. But there's a lot of chat about the pitch. But in order to bring balance to the conversation, we've identified there's a problem. We've brought in a new groundsman, right? I can't, there's an issue. We've done something about it. I don't feel like we could whinge about it too much. But Simon, that first half was not pretty. I remember going into half time thinking, I'm trying to think of some other things that happened in that first half. Was that the one where Windass ballooned one?
Can't remember that. No, that was in the second half. I just felt we really struggled to get going. Pato, I think, was a little over enthusiastic, obviously following in from his goal at QPR. And he left Valerie exposed on that right hand side a number of occasions because he kept coming in deep. Again, I think the pitch contributed to a very quiet Gassama in the first half. Again, the wing he was on the left-hand side is where we look down from the grandstand, and that has historically always suffered because of the shadow of the roof of the North Stand roof, and that's historically always struggled. And if you ever come up and sit in the posh seats, it is like what you saw on TV. We saw straight at the start, John, how poor the pitch was looking. And he really struggled, and we saw a couple of times he kept putting the ball out to him, and it just hang up, slow down in the sand. And then midfield, I think they did a very good job of just basically hoofing the ball over the top. And there was a lot of dark arts of, Mark McGuinness. I mean, I don't want to upset Holly on this because I know it's one on her long list of future husbands.
Yeah.
What he did off the ball, if you watched him in regards to Jamal Lowe and then in the second half, obviously when Smudger came on, there was a lot of. Somebody said behind me that's really good defending, but no, it's obstruction off the ball, so it's a foul. But the referee just let it go. Look. And at that point, Ethan, in the second half, my son said to me, I used to really like Mark McGuinness, Dad, but I can't stand him now. I absolutely hate him. And there's an opposition player. It's somebody I hate now. It's somebody I hate us playing against, but you would love him in your back three, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Side of Bernard, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you could see the quality there. And I think that's where we really struggled in the first half. Was it Danny putting Lowe on? Who's a little bit more mobile than Smith? Was he putting them on against the two big lads to tire him out for the second half? Was that maybe a tactic?
I would definitely agree. I've just recorded another podcast before this one, and I was talking about Michael Smith about being able to start a fight in a phone box, like, you know what I mean, like the bit that you were talking about with Mark McGuinness. Every time they lined up for a corner, there was a tear up every time, and I can see the thought process in putting somebody who's a bit more nimble, like Jamal Lowe, on up against them to try and run a bit of rings around them. But we end up going 1-0 down into half time, and I remember thinking, I don't think we're going to lose. I think it'll be really unfair to lose. I didn't expect us to come out the second half and play like we did. I was absolutely fascinated where we're playing. We were absolutely sublime. We need to just take a brief interlude here because at halftime we made a signing announcement the day or 2 days before in ex-Celtic and Southampton midfielder Stuart Armstrong. This was a signing I felt that was a banger. John, I'm going to come to you on it, and I'm just going to ask devil's advocate. I'm just going to put it out there. Whilst it's a good signing, did we need that position?
I think yes. And the reason I think yes is because we can't rely on Chalabar to stay fit. And if Bannon goes down or Charles goes down, we either suspension, injury or whatever, then I think that's a strength for the team that's then weakened. And I think that a player like Armstrong is going to complement that midfield. And I think even though he plays slightly further forward in his best role, which is like a link between the midfield and attack, and I know some are quibbed about his age, but 32 is kind of the new 29 in modern football. So he's looked after himself.
I've been telling myself that for about 15 years now, John.
Well, he's looked after himself. He's a good professional. He speaks very well, actually. If you catch his interview, he spoke very well. And I like the signing. And he's got another thunder chuffer in him as well. He can strike a ball. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I think it were a good signing. I accept that it might not be fill somebody's needs because we're still looking for, we still want at least a centre half, definitely. Maybe a fullback and obviously a striker because we've got goal shy a lot of games. But no, I like the signing. I think it were a quality bit of business, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. Ash, let's get some comments up, sir.
Yeah, of course you can. I did flash this one up just a second ago. Craig Haywood. He's answering the question about obviously Armstrong. Yes, when you're putting Liam Palmer in there for the likes of Charles, 100% yes. So he's agreeing with you. Thunderbird, if we lost Bannon throughout, our season ends. Well, that's it. That's excuse me. On the pitch really hasn't helped us of late. Not wishing to thwart, kicking of any alleged wage thieves, but I reckon Messi would struggle playing on a recently ploughed field.
I feel like the pitch is more of an issue. I'm going to talk for a bit, Ash. Let get the windy pops out, mate. I feel like you made you talk then right at the wrong time, didn't I?
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I feel like the pitch may have had a factor, but I don't think it was the biggest one. I felt it was how well Luton Town defended. So, Ash, I'll stay with you. I can't. Who was it first? Was it Windass or was it Jedi?
Well, can I just ask a question? Put a question? I thought this question, but it was also put on the comments here. Obviously, he changed it. Danny Rule changed it at half time. Did he get the starting 11 wrong? Can we? No, you don't reckon? You don't.
I feel the argument there of getting it wrong, I could extend to Patterson starting to an extent, and the reason I'm saying is I said it last week that the size of the pitch at QPR is right up Pato's avenue, and the best way you can describe it was James Kay telling me. He said, that little notch just to the left of the 18-yard box, that is 10 yards away from the corner flag. And if you look at that little notch, that's right on the edge of the 18 at QPR. At Hillsborough, it's another 8 yards between there and the edge of the 18. You can see how much bigger it is. However, Patterson played his blood and guts out against QPR, and he'd earned that shirt. He'd earned that start. And if we got a similar sort of performance out of him, then great. I just feel like the pitch is a bit too much for the way Patterson plays. In terms of Jamal Lowe playing up front, I think we've just discussed it. I feel like there's an element of Jamal Lowe can harry and push and chase down defenders, and it puts them under a bit of mental pressure and a bit of it puts them under a little bit, and I kind of like that. And when you're trailing only by one goal or drawing 0-0, I think that Michael Smith to bring on is a handful because it's a completely different player, and I feel like that's a bit of a stroke of genius. I think that's the correct way to go. Get the quick lads on first, let the defenders do all the running, and then bring Smudge to come on and elbow the bejesus out of them. What do you think, Ash? I'll chuck it back at you.
It's a fair point. I don't know the ins and outs of Pato's game and looking at the pitch size and width and length and all that sort of thing. I don't think really like that, to be honest. It's a good point, Dan. But I just thought that after we're 1-0 down and both teams didn't play particularly well, but to change it straight at half time, not give it 10 minutes or give it 15. Do you know what I mean? He did make the change at half time, bringing Armstrong on.
But it was a bit Sunday League, though, that first half, and I think we realised what sort of game it was going to be. It was just nothing happened. Like, apart from the goal, you were like, this is just some people kicking a ball around. There's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But at least Danny realised that then and didn't at half time and adjusted
I like
his team. Yeah.
I like that he changed it early. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think in his mind he's like, this isn't going anywhere. This is turgid. Let's change it up second half.
Moribund.
And I think there's an element of like Smith's his most effective front player, striker, goal scorer. If he can get through games, odd game here without him and save him for bigger games, tougher games, I think there's certainly an element of that. And obviously he's only used him for 45 minutes now against the weekend. So I do think he does try some rotational elements there to try and keep players back for like when we've got 2 games in a week, or for when we've got difficult opposition coming up. Like West Brom away is going to be on paper a tougher game than what we've had. So you might be trying to hold better players back for that and more effective players like Smith for that. So it nearly worked because we absolutely battered him second. Half, didn't we? As we'll come on to talk about. It nearly worked, but I understand his thought process. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. We're chasing the game. I think this is now it's Windass, isn't it? I've mentioned this is like the third time I mentioned it now. Windass absolutely ballooned one over the top, Simon, didn't he? And I felt like he flattered to deceive a lot. There's a lot of run around. He was involved in a lot, but I think his end product let him down a fair bit in that second half.
We've lost Simon.
I was going to say, he was talking away there, wasn't he? So I tell you what, I'm going to put some adverts in there. Welcome back, and Ash, I'll let you pick this up from Simon there because he's doing his goldfish rhubarb impression there while he unplugged his earphones.
I thought Windass was all right. It was about. He wanted the ball. He tried to make things happen. He was busy.
But there was no end piece.
How many times?
But
we have seen that a fair few times this season, and he has come up with a goal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is there. We talked about. I know it's a different position. He's not a striker, but we talked about Ukbo and Jamal Lowe previously, and Jamal Lowe put himself about a bit, and he did that. But I think with Windass, you are more expectant of something to happen, and I think if he's quiet or if he's not having the best game and he comes off after 70 minutes, and obviously you don't like to come off, he sulks, doesn't he? He gets, or appears to sulk that he's been took off because he wants to play, he wants to influence the game. I thought it was that second half. I thought he was busy, and like I said, I thought he was great. But his finishing, yes.
There's an element of fool's errand, though. Like if he's harrying, he's chasing, and he's getting onto the byline, he's putting them in, he's doing what we were screaming at Gassama for not doing at the early part of the season. If he's not putting them in, what are we farting around the poo for?
You have to get that saying in every week, don't you?
I do. Simon, I still can't hear you, brother. So if you could do me a favour and go into settings and see what you can piss about with, just give me a noise if you can give it a go, and we will soldier on. John, Gassama died for that penalty, didn't he?
It looked a bit soft because he got his shot away, and then all of a sudden ref blows and points to the spot, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'll take it if you're going to give us a penalty, because we haven't had many given our way, have we, in the course of the last season or so. But yeah, prior to that, I mean, what a run! I mean, he picks the ball up, doesn't he? And he just runs and he runs and he runs and he turns men inside out. And I thought, man, please lay this into the top corner now, and we can all go home. And we can all go home now, and be happy.
Would have been the goal of the season, wouldn't it?
Oh. I love goals like that, because you can have. We've seen Thunder Chuffers. We know we get them every month, don't we? We're in goals in a month with Thunder Chuffers. But individual brilliance like that, when you pick up the ball and you just run and you beat one man, you beat another man, and then you can feel yourself getting higher towards the edge of your seat, can't you? In the crowd, you're just like, go on, lad, just stick it in top corner, and you got a shot off, and must have got his, in the referee's eyes, must have had his heels clipped, and we've given the penalty. He's given us a penalty, but absolutely sensational run, and he seems to be getting better every game, doesn't he, Gassama? I mean, if he can keep progressing like this, we're sitting on a gold mine.
Well, I think I'm going to make that tonight's hot topic at some point. We're going to talk about Jeddy Gassama. Simon, give me a quick mic check. Nope.
Dan, what I was going to say on Gassama was I totally agree with John, but what a difference that player is from the first time I clapped my eyes on him when a bit of wind blew him over. Any sort of contact or anything, he was on the floor, and it was like frustrating because you could see that young, raw player that he rode like 4 tackles, didn't he, on Saturday? And I've seen him before, even this season, that any sort of nudge or any sort of tap and he's gone down. And I just thought he rode the tackles. He was strong. He was direct. And like John, if we'd have put one in top corner, we would have been going, oh, that's 2 goals in the goal of the season. Wouldn't it? It'd been like that. But then there was a clip that's come out about what's the guy's name? Is it Lamal from the young 17-year-old at Barcelona? Did virtually the same sort of thing, but instead of obviously winning a penalty, he laid it off to someone who shot wide. But they were like, "Oh my God, this is the best run of the season," and all that. And it's basically, you didn't do as much as Jeddy, did you? But they were lauding it, and we always say we've got blue tinted glasses on, haven't we? So let's.
There
we are. Scotch 24. Your mouth bottled it. Pass the ball.
let's break it down though. So he's been knacked straight away. Just carried on, stayed on his feet. He got knacked again. It's the same geezer snapping at his heels the entire time for a lot of it, and then clout. He's got into the box. He sidestepped one geezer. And the man had nothing left inside of him, right? He's got bruises bigger than your head stuck on his shins and all sorts. And he gets one of the worst farty little shots away, a proper girly wet dribble of a shot. And it goes into the defender. And then he just hit the deck. And the ref went, God, I feel sorry for him. Let's just give him the penalty. Because he absolutely flopped. Simon, give me a mic check. No, we're still having a bad time here, Simon.
Why don't you leave, Simon, and come back?
Turn it off and turn it back on again. Let's do that one. See what happens, bro. But he took a dive, didn't he, Ash?
Right. So I'm in the Kop, so it's my end of the pitch, and I tell you what, I'm just a little side thing here, right? And I've said this a few times, I'm a man of a certain size. I'm not the smallest of guys. It takes a while for me to get going, but. There's a thing at the Kop now is any sort of action that's coming anywhere 20 yards out, everyone stands up.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Get up again. And do you know what I mean? And I totally missed it live, the thing. But I watched the highlights, and from the camera angle on the highlights, it was soft, weren't it? It was.
Yeah, it was soft.
It was soft, but when we go back to think how many games and how many days we didn't have a penalty,
and now we're just getting them.
And we just, I'm not too sad about it, but I tell you what, the run deserved a goal, and we got the goal. It wasn't from the foot of Gassama, it was the foot of Smith, but it deserved a goal, and we got a goal, so I am more than happy.
Take it as a win. And Simon, give me a mic check again. We're struggling here,
Marcel.
We're struggling. Simon, if you go to the 3 dots, or if you've got settings in the bottom in the cog and go to mic settings, I believe there is an opportunity in which you can test your microphone and see if you get some green squares. Apologies for the IT support live on air, ladies and gents, but needs must as the devil drives, as they say. I tell you what, John, that was a hell of a penalty, wasn't it? Is it that a beauty?
Yeah, and he had to, didn't he? Because keeper guessed the right way as well, and I think he may have got his fingertips to it, but too powerful to keep out, and so it nestled into the bottom corner. I must admit, and I don't know why, because it was only a regular league game, but I had to I had to turn away from that penalty because I thought we've been battering them second half, and I'm like, I don't know, some like weird superstition just got into me. I thought I'm not going to watch this pen because I had a feeling if I watched it we were going to miss. So I just kind of covered my eyes up like that and just waited for the crowd noise, which obviously
I tell you, John, it was perfect height for a goalie and all. Like in terms of height, you're like the goalie's like, yeah, I've got this. And did he get a hand to it, Ash?
Yeah, he did.
I think he did.
He did.
I don't know what your guys' views are, right? But it's always a good penalty when we score, obviously. But I agree with you, Dan. If he'd have saved it, it'd have been
looked terrible.
It would have looked terrible because it was the right height. He did get a hand to it, but the power on it took it past him, which is fantastic. But yeah, he has got a bit of a knack of scoring penalties, hasn't he, old Smudger? And whatever the
no staggered run-ups, just hit it right hard.
Whatever the sum or the offer was from, if you believe, from Wrexham that's been turned down or didn't come in or whatever. Well, I think it's just paid a little bit of that back with a penalty, hasn't it? So.
Did you notice as well when the penalty was given, he just marched straight over, picked the ball up, and Windass must have been kind of just looking at it, peripheral vision, thinking, I'm not going anywhere near this.
I feel there was an element of I when we scored this penalty, I genuinely thought we're winning this now. This is it. For the fifth time, Simon, give me a mic check. Sweet child.
Can't hear anything. No.
And I was just having sorry. It was a fashion at the time. I had an onion on my belt. Simon, I try the cog again. Give it a thing. See if you can still play with it. I'll keep your screen up. You don't need to drop out. Just keep trying, and then just give me a noise to see if you're coming in, and then they aren't going to keep hearing me going, Simon, give us a mic check, which will be a slogan on the tat upcoming. Now, Ash, there was a shot by Bannon later on, but he kind of hit it into the floor to try to put it over. Like, what's he doing there? He should have just laced us, right?
Yeah, I got a bit frustrated, not with Bannon, but the whole attacking players of not having a shot. It just seemed a bit shot shy, if that's a word. And it's easy. Yeah, it's easy for us to say sat in the bleachers, like, but it did see that it's like pass across and I get the breaking the defense down, making space and all that. But sometimes, like Luton did in the first half, just sorry, Thunderbird's done me with that. Sorry. What do you feel is in this day and age? What is this? I follow.
Yeah. But you're right though, Ash. I'm sorry, I took you off your point there. But there was an element of we were a little bit like, just have a dig, lads. And I'm digging Windass out for smashing one over the bar, but at least he's having a pop, right?
Yeah. There was that, and yet, like I said, Bannon did have a crack, and there were a couple of other that's.
There were things, weren't there? That one with Valerie where everyone's screaming, shoot, man, shoot.
Do you know what? I felt for Jan Valery in that moment because the ball just would not sit down and the defender was right up his ass and there was no, even if the shot, it had just got blocked, right? And he was waiting for it to sit and he had the defender up here, the other lad, the Scandinavian fella, and he's got his elbow on him and it just wouldn't sit down for him. It just wouldn't go. And we went, we'd all lost our mind at some point, haven't we?
I thought it looked like he was leaning back a bit. The first initial, and he like not dummied, but he waited, and and then he went, and then he didn't, and then in my head that happened about 8 times. He went for it, he didn't. It was that slow and painful. But if you had, I was gonna say, if you had a striker in that position, he'd have scored. But we've just talked about Lowe and Ugbo. If Smith was there, I mean, he's been pretty deadly, but it was.
Now we are getting creamed out in the comments for saying we were a bit shot shy, and we did have 17 shots in that second half. I mean, if you chuck the comments up, Ash, we're getting a lot of people giving Simon IT support of plugging it in and unplugging it again. We did. Emily's mentioned there we had 17 shots. I'm going to put the statistics up now. Expected goals, XG, if that's a thing, we're at 2.37, 72% possession, 17 goal attempts, 4 shots on goal, and 5 off target. What shots off goal? Where the bloody hell have I got that from? And then 8 block shots, 2 big chances, and 9 corner kicks. That is the most hard-fought point that Luton will have, and I think they must come away from that game thinking, John, they must be thinking, yeah, we looked out there, didn't we?
Well, 100%. We absolutely, if that was a boxing match, their corner would have thrown towel in second half. We were absolutely all over.
We were brilliant. We were brilliant.
Yeah. Battering them. We just needed the goal, didn't we? It was so frustrating because you could see wave after wave of attack, and then we had, Gassama had a nice run down right, cut in, had a shot on his left, keeper got down, and then we had a terrific move a bit later on down the left-hand side where it's all one-touch passing and it gets whipped into the box, and then I think it's Smith hits it and it hits keeper and then rolls back out and then gets put off at bar. I think it was Windass. It was just, we were all just, willing a goal, weren't we? It just wouldn't come. But they must have been going back down that coach feeling like they'd robbed us, really, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's a big win. That's a big point for them. That's a huge point. And then the game kind of not petered out because we were still at them right to the end, finished 1-1, and it is the biggest example of 2 points lost in any game of football anybody's ever seen. Now, before the announcement of before the game, we had an announcement that we'd signed a new player in Ibrahim Sissoko, or if you remember Hillsborough from the first game of the season, Isako. He was recalled by Toulouse, and we've essentially nabbed him from Plymouth, who then managed to get some points on the board without him. So maybe not that good. Now, Ash, I'm gonna say something really stupid live on the internet. Now, because Plymouth were shite that first day of the season, and because Newcastle was shite, when we played them in the cup, Isak was awful. I can't get on board with Isak being this really good striker that everybody's talking about now. And I'm the same with Sissoko, right? I'm kind of like, well, he was shit against us. Is he the level we need him to be? Like, if Alexander Isak's coming trying to get Michael Smith's shirt, I'll be like, whoa, lads, whoa, let's have a minute.
you do realise in that FA Cup game that Isak had been out for about 9 months.
No, rubbish, mate. Rubbish.
Been out for a long time. But no, Sissoko, is that how are you pronouncing it?
I ain't done the homework on it yet, mate. Yeah. It took me a week to work out Kabatsky.
I thought he looked lively. I thought he was probably the bright, shining light of that awful Plymouth team that came. And then I am going to be brutally honest. I have not seen anything else of him. We don't, dear. It's not. I'm not going to tune in on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon to watch Plymouth, am I? So that's it. I don't know anything about him.
What we're talking about, guys?
Hey,
hear me?
Hey, Simon.
Oh man!
And thanks for everyone. Right, thank you. That's been the Wednesday week.
Thanks for the Wednesday week. Yeah,
we had a lot of IT support for you there, Simon. We had
we
Liam Mendelson suggested holding cards up.
I am now running off my Wi-Fi off my phone, so everything's just seems to have gone to
why would the Wi-Fi cut your sound out? Is that the first thing to go when you have
I don't know,
Wi-Fi?
But it came up with. It actually came up. I think it's an internal protest because it actually came up with the host has muted you, and then I don't know what happened after that.
I feel slandered on the internet. Anyway, let's move on now. So Sissoko has been announced. Before the game, there was another protest from the Club the 1867 group, where they handed out their yellow flyers. I will not condone anybody, especially fellow Wednesday fans, getting any abuse. But I also, on the stand, I won't take anything about kids getting paper snatched out the hands of things that they don't really understand. I feel like there was a wind down of the 1867 group over the last couple of days, given from Rob and Jim's personal X accounts. However, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. There's been an announcement from 1867 News saying, and I'll read it verbatim, after several discussions behind the scenes, after weighing up the costs and affordability, an official approach is being made to buy SWFC from Dapont Chancery. This is a new consortium who have been involved with football clubs previously, but have not ever been in negotiations to buy Sheffield Wednesday. I will provide more information when authorised to do so. So there may or may not be something to... that's all we know so far. a group has been put forward. Whether it turns out to be anything, we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned for that. I've just realised I didn't put up my picture of Jeddy Gassama, so here he is, just on that little run there. Now, it's time now for that part of the night where you have to cover your ears. Hot topic. Let's talk about Jedward now.
Whoa! No, don't start them games. Do not
Jeddy.
Call him that.
His name's Jeddy. It's clearly short for Jedward. Let's not piss around the sink. So, right, John, you're going to renegotiate the contract of Jeddy Gassama. I think we're all on that page. Do we sell him?
Yeah. Not now, because I think his value is only going to go up, especially if recent performances are anything to go by. And if we're kicking, obviously, we need Danny Rule to still be on board as well to harness that talent even further with the coaching staff that we have. I think you keep going with this one because I think he could be worth a lot more down the line than, say, we had a 5 million bid in the next couple of hours comes in for him or something. I think you hold on to him and definitely try and get renegotiated contracts. Obviously, that puts the price up of any potential transfer as well. But yeah, hold tight with it and see how it goes for now.
But that's interesting, Simon, right? John brings a good point up there. I think we're all in the let's get him signed up, let's get him on a contract. But I feel that there is an inevitability with Jedward. I'm going to struggle not saying that. I feel like there's an inevitability with the gas man of him leaving to go to a bigger club, and I think we need to realise our privilege a little bit, and we just go, do you know what? Let's be happy that it's happened. But we need to talk about timeframes, don't we? Because obviously the contract length will dictate how much money gets outlaid to buy him out of that contract, right? So, what sort of money? Let's say now, based on John's point, let's say it's what quarter to 9. I've forgotten how to tell the time, ladies and gents, live on the interwebs. It's 8:45 on a Monday evening on transfer deadline day. Let's say in the next hour somebody comes in with X amount. What would be an acceptable amount to take him at this point in the season?
What's he got? He's got this season and an option for one more year, hasn't he?
I believe so.
That's what his contract is. So.
Yeah.
Right.
John mentioned there 5 million quid.
Yeah. Well, this is where we get into the actual history of Sheffield Wednesday and how shit they are at selling players and keeping players and all that sort of stuff. So you got to look. Plus, you're going to look at other players that have gone for silly money, haven't they, and stuff. So I'm going to go 8 to 10 million, me.
8 to 10 million.
8 to 10 million, right? And then with options as well. Obviously, all your
future buy-ons and stuff like that. I get that. I mean,
with somebody so young as him, you've got to go for the options, haven't you? He's got to be 8 to 10 mil, and then clauses. I think we already spoke about this about Piers Charles, didn't we, a few podcasts ago? And then the lad, how old's the Jedi Master? How old is he?
Brilliant. He's only 21, isn't he?
20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he came from PSG as well, didn't he? So he's already been mixed with the big guys. So you've got to look at, he'll probably go back abroad, and it would be 10 million and add-ons and future sell-on clauses equaling going up to another 4 or 5 million. His overall game, if you look at the guy, how he's moved on this season in regards to he holds off challenges now. The Jeddy of last year, if on that run when I went silent, he would have.
If only you were listening, Simon.
And he would have fallen over, wouldn't he? Sorry, he would have fallen over on the first challenge, wouldn't he? But he kept going, and he now can defend and comes back and defends. He reads the game a lot better. Did you also notice, and you may have already covered this when I was muted, he changed his boots in the second half of the game? So he changed his boots in the second half of the game, and then he came back. He came into the game. He's got better footing, and the guy is going to be very, very good.
He is. So we've had a few comments there, Ash. I noticed you flashed up a few there of people saying how much would it 9.75 plus all the add-on shenanigans. Great way of putting it. So we're talking future sell-on clauses and international appearances and all that. We'll call that add-on shenanigans. And now, normally I fall very much into the camp of, let's make money, let's be a proper business. But if somebody came in with only 5 million quid in January, I think he to us is worth more than that for the remainder of the season. And there's 4 months left in the season. I think 5 million quid it's a considerable amount of money, and you'll raise an eyebrow at it at our level. But I think you might think that's he's worth more than 5 million quid. Tommy Cannon going for 10 to 13, as somebody commented earlier. Yeah, absolutely. Snap the hand off. See you later, pal. Let's buy him a picture of a carriage clock. But in the meantime, I think we need to keep hold of him. Anything less than 8 is a negotiation. But ladies and gentlemen, that was today's Hot Topic. So as we come back to the any other business before we wind this out, there's been a link with Derby County. Alex Miller says that it's unlikely that Liam Palmer will go to Derby County. Personally, I think that would be a great move for him, given that we've signed another midfielder, and that's where we seem to put him nowadays. And we have lots of backup in various other positions. Emmanuel Otabeo has signed a contract extension. I couldn't find how long the contract extension was, but fair play to him, fair play to that young man, as did Sean Fusiri last week. Excuse me, a bit of windy pops. And there was also rumours about Emmanuel Dennis coming to Sheffield Wednesday last week, but I believe he's about to sign for Blackburn this evening. And I feel that might be, talking to my Forest friend pal, I think it might be a bullet dodged, if I'm honest, because in terms of attitude problems, it had what was his face, Tyreek Backinson written all over it, or Alex Mighton, if I'm honest.
Have you seen the link with the Chelsea centre back, Aaron Anselmino?
No.
He's been rumoured the last couple of days, but they've just said that he's not leaving on loan from Chelsea, so he's staying. So that's another one off the list, I think.
Another one off the list.
Rob
But
Holding
nice.
was another one as well, wasn't it? Rob Holding. I don't know if you heard that one.
Sheffield United, he is, isn't he?
Well, I think Wilder's got a spy in our camp, because every player we're linked with, they seem to be going for as well, don't they? But yeah.
The amount of comments now, Ash, flailing in about, I hope Steve is not here to hear me slagging off that I feel like Liam Palmer should be moving to Derby County. It's a good job I'm on flight mode because I'm live on the internet. Now, John, Simon, do you have any other business in which you would like to add?
None from me.
Well, that's all right then. So, Ashley, we've got a surprise lined up, and we will give you more information on the surprise coming through this week. However, this week, and the reason for the surprise is that the Mind charity operates I'll let you talk about it, Ash. You know, this has been your incentive.
Yes, mate. On Thursday, the 6th of February, so that's this Thursday coming, Mind are doing a time to talk. So this is where they're encouraging like-minded people to get in front of each other over a phone or in the pub and just talk and just air some of your worries with your fellow friends. It is a massive thing, mental health, that we're all on the podcast really into. We do help the Speakeasy, Simon. He's a big thing on mental health, so we're involved with that as well. So yes, we have got something coming up that's going to come out on Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, to coincide with this. So hope you enjoy it.
And I'm going to give you quite the hefty look into what's happening this Thursday as I bid you thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you to you lot, everybody out there. Thank you to John, Simon, and all those people that made his headphones. You know what I mean? I don't think you'll be thanking them, are you, Si? I don't think that's happening. But if you
couldn't shut Simon up in this episode, could we, lads?
I know, bloody hell.
Couldn't get a word in.
Even the internet weren't having it. But I'm going to give you a big hint as to what's happening this Thursday if you stick around for the credits. In the meantime, see you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.